Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 21 of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where today we're here back for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Now obviously if you missed out on the last one, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We finally got our rule changes confirmed for Season 2 of this series. But just quickly before we jump into this weekend's Brazilian Grand Prix, I keep getting a few questions from some of you guys, and I don't think I've sort of mentioned it in a video. I have mentioned it down in the comments below in recent videos. Yes, for Season 2, we will be doing a reskin of the car. I'm going to have a look. Obviously, once Season 1 has come to an end, we're going to change up the colour scheme a little bit. I still want some orange on there. Orange sort of is my colour at the end of the day. But yes, we're going to be doing a reskin. Yes, we will be looking at a new driver for our teammate. That is why we've got so much in the bank at the moment. There you can see $8.3 million currently in the book. So, you know, having a look at the driver market, it does actually look quite good for us. There's quite a few people that we could potentially get on board there. You can see Raikkonen at 85 overall, Perez at 86 overall. And then further down the order, you can see Pierre Gasly, Danny Kvyat, Lando Norris, Ocon, Sainz, Stroll, Albon and Russell. Now, I've sort of narrowed it down to 3 at the moment that I would quite like to pick for the team. We've got Charles Leclerc, who is probably our best bet. You know, highest rated driver, everything like that. Sergio Perez, again, king of the midfield. I'd love to try and give him a proper upfront seat in Formula 1. Alex Albon, again, obviously had a bit of a rough time at Red Bull so far this season. Would like to give him a bit of a better chance. And George Russell, mainly because I'd like to try and save him from Williams at the moment as well. So those are sort of the guys that we're considering at this stage of the year. You know, they've been the most impressive. I still think it's an absolute farce that Jordan Kings expects $3 million out of us for next season. So I will probably leave a link to a poll over on the community tab on the channel. So obviously if you want to go vote over there for who you'd like us to sign for next season. Obviously just to run through that again, then we've got George Russell, Albon, Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc for next season. Now that should give me a rough idea who sort of more I'll aim for, but it'll also depend on who a couple of other people are looking into signing as well. But I think, you know, that's all done and dusted then before we jump into it. And yeah, let's head then to Brazil. Round 21 of the season, 2 races to go. Let's do this thing. So, free practice done and done then. We're up to near enough 1,600 R&D points once more, so we should be able to get one more upgrade on the car. We're going to go with the engine cover upgrade this time around. A 22% failure chance, 1,175 R&D points. That leaves us 415 at the moment. But still, you can see just how close the midfield is at this late stage of the championship. We might just be able to get the diffuser refined straight positions in before the finale in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, it's really been quite an insane Season 1 in terms of performance. You can see Racing Point still best of the rest at the moment, but AlphaTauri now up into second of the best of the rest, and Alfa Romeo, Renault, McLaren, Haas, ourselves, and then of course a long way back to Williams. We're very close to winning the the rival battle, sorry I should say, with Lando Norris as well. But I think we're ready then. Let's dive into qualifying here from Brazil. We managed to get through into Q2 last time. Can we do it again here today? Here we go then, ready for our first Q1 run then. Like I said, we were able to get through into Q2 last time at Mexico. Maybe today we can do it with just one run, however. That would be rather nice through the Center S for the first time. Using up all the track width as best as possible. Not too shabby a run, but not perfect either. Out through Jungsao then, a little bit of a mistake. We got one of the Ferraris, I think it's Charles Leclerc, all over the back of us as well here as we head up to the start-finish line. It's actually going to be a drag race up to the line. Leclerc goes quickest. We're 1.1 off, or 1.2 off even in the end. Half a second off Ricciardo between Raikkonen and Grosjean. Not perfect, I'll be honest. Yeah, only 3 thousandths quicker than Jordan King after our first run. Probably isn't going to be anywhere near good enough to get us through into Q2, based on the fact I think King's made it through once this season. if I'm not mistaken, so we do need to try and find a little bit more time here. Not even getting a better run through the Center S that time round, but there were a couple of small mistakes, so we should be able to find some time. Coming out of the final corner then, once again, we have found a tiny bit of time, but still just struggling to get a full lap hooked up round here. We're going to be about half a tenth up at the end there, which probably isn't going to give us much at all. No, it's not. We're still down in P18 here, so we're going to get one more shot, but we will have shredded all 3 sets of rubber. Obviously, it's just such a short track around here that you've got to get the lap nailed. One final go then here to try and get out of Q1. I'll be a little bit gutted in all honesty if we aren't able to make it out the first qualifying session this weekend. It's just so tight between everyone at the moment, as I think Grosjean's gone even quicker to move past us. But yeah, we need to try and get this lap absolutely nailed if we want to try and find some time. Somehow again, actually just a tiny bit up at the end of the Center S that time round, but we're literally talking thousandths of a second. Big lock-up down in towards turn 4, but again, we're still just a few thousandths of a second up as we head down in through Sector 2. Let's see if we can just keep it a bit tidier this time round. Just obviously trying to get the engine brake, the rotation through, everything like that. Just feel like we're giving it everything and just not able to find the time. And I just can't work out why. We did lose a bit of time out of Jung Sao last time round. See if we can keep a nice tidy apex. Is going to give us a little bit of momentum. It is going to give us a fair run. Well, I don't think it's going to be enough. Up towards the end of our qualifying lap here, we're going to set 3 laps within a tenth of each other, but none of them are going to be good enough for Q2 there, and that is absolutely heartbreaking. P19 is at the very most what we're going to be able to get here for the Brazilian Grand Prix, but I mean, Jordan King might even go quicker than us. So there we are then, official confirmation at the end of Q1. It's Hamilton quickest, ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas there. The top 4, all within 1/10 of a second. However, as Jordan King luckily doesn't go quicker than us when all is said and done, we do still edge out our teammate by just less than 1/10 of a second at the end of Q1. But it's both Haas cars, both 212 Motorsport cars, and both Williams out in Q1. So we've got a long race ahead of us, I feel, but we'll dive into it. Race pace is always our strong factor on F1 2020, so let's do this thing here from the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, here for the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Formula One returns to Sao Paulo once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Brazilian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit, and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. And that gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into Turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Ricciardo, Alexander Albon, and Ocon, Perez, Gasly, Stroll, and Daniel Kvyat, Giovinazzi, Norris, Kimi Raikkonen, and Magnussen, Grosjean, Mr. Monaco, Charles Leclerc, they've taken a grid penalty, and George Russell, Latifi, Sainz, King, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
points finish might be just out of reach this race, but give it your best shot.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. There is a lot riding on this race, I'll be honest. For us, we still need to try and score good points if we want to try and beat McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. It's going to be a tough one, but we'll wait and see. But much, much bigger than our scrap for P5 in the Constructors' title is the battle for the Drivers' Championship. Obviously, if you missed out on yesterday's video, you won't have got a full rundown on the points. But Bottas, if he wins this race today and Hamilton doesn't come second, he will be world champion. Hamilton needs a win here, or he needs to finish ahead of Bottas if he wants to remain in the title fight, realistically, heading into the final race of the season. Charles Leclerc, again, has to beat Valtteri Bottas if he wants to remain in the title fight this season. I think he's 24 points back coming into this weekend, so he needs really to try and win this race. Now, he's starting to behind us with grid penalties, so I think, realistically, depending on when the safety car comes out, if it does, Charles Leclerc, I'll be surprised, but I think he might be the man that gets knocked out of the title fight this weekend, as well as Sebastian Vettel. He really does need to beat Valtteri Bottas as well in this Grand Prix. Bottas comes into this with a 17-point lead over his Mercedes teammate, 20 over Sebastian Vettel there, and I think 24 over Charles Leclerc. So there is a lot still riding on this race. He starts on the front row. However, if Bottas gets a DNF, then it is completely wide open for the finale next time out at Abu Dhabi. But I'm ready then here at the Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. I think the best thing to do is just get ready to dive into it. We're going to go softs to hards this race. You might be able to go soft mediums, actually looking at it as well, depending on how the soft tyres last in this Grand Prix. So yeah, we'll see if that's possible at the end of the day. But you never quite know what it will be like here around this track. Yeah, that looks potentially possible. So we'll put it on the car there. Mixed conditions is meant to get cloudy to dry to sunny to a bit cloudy again at the end of the race. But I think we're ready then here on the grid for the penultimate race of 2020. Let's dive into this then. P16 on the grid. I'll be very, very happy if we can scrape some points out of this. But it's 5 red lights here in Brazil. And it's lights out and away we go. Off to a decent start for the first time all year. Now Magnussen actually gets in the way just a little bit as we head down in towards turn 1, and I've just worked out why we got off to a decent start. Everyone around us on a set of the hard compound tyres for the start of this Grand Prix, so that is probably going to make things very, very interesting at the start of this one. It also means we need to try and get past a lot of these guys as quickly as possible here. But yeah, decent getaway for ourselves. I'm sure Charles Leclerc and Verstappen, that are sat behind us off the start, are going to have to really, really just battle their way through. Try and keep the front wing clean as well, though, because a safety car is a very, very likely occurrence in today's Grand Prix. Giovinazzi, though, just ahead of us. We might be able to try and look around the outside through the twisty bits. He does give us the room off the exit. We might be able to slip up the inside. We should be able to into the next hairpin. And we're up at a P12 before we even got into Sector 3 of Lap 1 here. So this has been an absolute dream start for ourselves. Look at the grip we've got over the Alpha Tauri, up the inside, thank you very much. I'm going to P11, so a good little start for ourselves. We needed to be aggressive. Next up then, we're pretty much already on the cusp of the points, but these guys are on a very, very different strategy to ourselves. Bottas leads at the end of lap 1, the dream start for the Mercedes man who started second on the grid, but we need to get our head down and focus. Already coming towards the end of lap 4 then, and then the end of lap 3, sorry, I should say. And it appears that the AI have really, really tried jumped out of the blocks once again. Hamilton knew fastest lap of the race, so he is definitely going to be trying to apply some pressure to his teammate Valtteri Bottas in this one. Ricciardo, once again though, having the absolute start of his life up at a P3 of the race. Renault seemed to have found something a bit extra in the late stages of this championship. But yeah, just looking at the pace everyone has started with, I'm wondering if, just like Mexico last time out, if towards the end of the stint, the tyres can really swing in our favour. Coming to the end of lap 7, we're really, really just struggling to try and match Lando Norris at the moment. I mean, we're on a bit of a different strat still to the McLaren driver, but yeah, just trying to keep the momentum up and the tyre wear down is finding a fine balance, I'll be honest, at this early stage of the race. But we need to play, we need to play to our own strengths, focus on our own strategy at the moment, despite It being very, very quiet and lonely at the start here. Kvyat and Giovinazzi just falling away slightly. The gap to Lando pretty much now hovering at anywhere for about 1 to 2 seconds. Coming to the end of lap 10, and once again the swing of momentum seems to be falling a little bit more into our favour. Once more in this Grand Prix. The gap to Lando pretty much now, well, you can just see just as finally dipped back under a second. Maybe, if we can try and get some DRS on him over the next couple of laps, we can afford to apply some pressure before the McLaren dives into the pit lane. We have finally got some DRS as Daniel Ricciardo, by the looks of it, seems to be the first man into the pit lane, so we are going to move ourselves up into the top 10. As we reach the third way stage of the Grand Prix, we are definitely taking some time at Lando as well, though. However, now dirty air is going to be a much bigger issue. I'm planning on trying to get these tyres to about lap 16. They're up over 40% wear at the moment, though, so it might be a bit tough. A little bit closer now to Lando this time round. However, we have burnt through most of our spare fuel. One of the Mercedes is into the pits. It's absolutely critical for them that they get both cars through nice and tidily. Who is it? It's Bottas. Is the first one into the pits as we think about having a look at the inside of Lando. He locks up, but he holds on to it as we... Come on. Keep it on the island. Yeah, we get a little bit squirrely as well now. The tyres definitely aren't in the best nick in the world, but Charles Leclerc still sat in P11 at the moment. He hasn't even been able to get through all the medium runners like we'd expected him to. Hopefully round 2 then we can try and line up a bit of a better attack on Lando here. A few more of the AI started to dive into the pit lane here, so it's interesting to see just how long these guys are going to be able to take their tyres. Lando, a little bit late on the defence there, but I think we were almost running into the back of him as well. We might have to go again. Come on then, third time's a charm. At Jungsao we go. We're still just under half second back behind Lando. Still, Hamilton though has not opted to dive into the pit lane. Lando, however, does, as well as Alex Albon. So we're going to be up into P4 of the Grand Prix as Seb's on mediums. That's quite interesting. I wonder if Hamilton is on the same strat. We, however, the team on us pitting in the end of this one. How bad is the rubber? 50% wear. We probably will do. We'll dive it in this lap and go on to a set of the mediums and see if we can take him to the end. Jordan into the pits as well. Oh, yellow flags. Who's that going slowly? Don't say it's one of the Ferraris. Don't say it's Charles Leclerc pulling to the wayside in this Grand Prix. This might work out beautifully for both Hamilton, Seb and myself pitting in. So we only just get it stopped, and it's a full safety car. But that means Charles Leclerc is out of the championship battle then. A heartbreak for the Ferrari man, who's there most of the way throughout this season there. But yeah, safety car is now out. We need to try and get out of the pit lane nice and tidily. We might still be just inside the top 10 here as we head out through the Senna S. Means we won't get some warm tyres though for the restart. But yeah, we are going to come out, I think, in P9 here. But heartbreak for Charles Leclerc. He now needs basically Bottas, Seb and Lewis all to join him.
Overtake the safety car. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace.
So, safety car is coming in then at the end of this lap, the halfway stage of the race. We got Danny Kvyat, if I'm not mistaken, who leads the cars away for the restart here. But we're going to try and potentially get a bit of a run on Ocon. Actually, might have timed that all right on the Renault man. Just crossing over the start-finish line. We're going to go up the inside of him and maybe accidentally up the inside of Raikkonen there. The cold tyres actually working well for us as Ocon's able to get past the Alfa Romeo as well there. We are in a bid though to try and get these tyres to the end. As look at the run Ocon's got off of turn 3 there. He's going to have a look back up the inside of ourselves and he's actually going to make the move back. So up into P7 however of the Grand Prix, should be a net P6 once Danny Kvyat has pit here. But everyone around us looking feisty as well. There is Raikkonen. Thought about going for something a little bit loose and squirrely there. Raikkonen trying to keep the nose up the inside, but we hold on to the place for now. Back down to P7. Let's try and get these tyres working. Lap 19, we're closing back in now on Esteban Ocon. So this might be a battle for the ages between myself and the Frenchman. Kvyat into the pit lane there as we actually go purple in the final sector, trying to swing it around the outside of Ocon. We'll have the inside for turn 2. This is brilliant, brilliant wheel-to-wheel racing between myself and the Frenchman there out of turn 2. We might just be able to get the momentum, and we have this time around. So we're back up now into P5 of the Grand Prix. Mercedes 1-2 once again. Ricciardo in P4 there. So he's on the soft tyres, so he's going for a bit of an alternate strategy. But yeah, now we just need to try and keep our head down and build a gap to Ocon behind us. We've got to try and utilise these medium tyres. 14 laps to go then at the moment as Ricciardo now into the pit lane. So we're up into P4 of this Grand Prix. It's been a rather quiet one so far, but it's really working out in our favour. Obviously, of course, that's basically been carried by the lucky safety car, which sort of led the soft strategy to work in our favour. But yeah, the top 3 obviously just breaking away. Bottas just stretching his legs, however, from the other 2. As well, if Seb and Lewis, they need to work together here. If either of them still want to be in the title fight, they need to try and work together to close back up to the Finn. But at the moment, yeah, we're keeping the gap just about a second and a half over Ocon. So it's all looking rather good at the moment. We just need to keep our head down, like I said. Keep focusing on keeping these tyres in a good window. Oh my god, Bottas is into the pit lane again. Bottas was on a set of soft compound tyres. He's going to be back out behind us in this Grand Prix here. So we're going to inherit P3 in the Grand Prix. But I mean, if Hamilton and Seb are going to the end, they now desperately both want to win this race, as the team is still suggesting we pit with 1 lap to go from our race start strategy here. But that really does throw everything open in this Grand Prix now. Bottas is going to be trapped down. He's not even inside the points. He's down in like P14, P15 at this stage of the Grand Prix there. So that is absolutely perfect for Hamilton and Seb. Have Mercedes completely thrown away Bottas' strategy this Grand Prix, and in turn put his title fight up in jeopardy here. We are now up to the podium places. How I would love that at the end of this Grand Prix. We've still got 10 laps to go though, and Ocon is still lurking. Oh my god, more yellow flags. Who's that? I think it's a car behind us that's dropping out of the Grand Prix. Who is it? I think it's Ocon, just behind us in all honesty. Yep, he's dropping down the order. That is Esteban Ocon pulling to the wayside in this Grand Prix. Are we going to get another safety car? It would help Bottas out a lot, but no. It doesn't appear we are, so another DNF in this Grand Prix, but this time round it doesn't play to Bottas, and we are still in P3 now with even more breathing room. Everything seems to be slotting into place for us this weekend. We've got 9 laps to go here in Brazil. Could we hold on to this? We've got about 3 seconds, 2-3 seconds over the racing points. Let's just keep our head down, like I keep saying, and try to bring this thing home. Coming on to lap 30 then, the gap to Stroll and Perez is staying pretty even at the moment. Having a look further back, I think Bottas is back up into 10th place, as a few more drivers have now pit, so he needs to make up every place he can, because Abu Dhabi next time round, every place matters. This late on into a season, every point counts at the moment, even things like fastest lap, which I think Verstappen has, but he's way outside the top 10 at the moment. No real chance of him scoring points. So that's 1 extra point that Bottas has been lost this weekend at the moment. But yeah, 6 laps to go here. Let's just still keep our head down. I know I keep saying it, but it is so important, because we could be on for our 3rd podium of the year, and all of them have come in pretty crazy circumstances. 3 laps to go then here from Brazil, and Sebastian Vettel has now made a decisive move into the lead of this Grand Prix here. Obviously, he really does need a win this weekend. Both him and Hamilton now will be taking good points out of Valtteri Bottas as he slowly climbs himself up towards the rear of the top 8 pack. But yeah, Seb desperately needs the win. I mean, Hamilton, I'm sure, would love it as well for his title chances. But it is looking, with 3 laps to go, like we're going to get a 3-way title fight in the final race of the season. But the gap to Stroll and Perez has still stayed about level here. I don't know if it's just these quicker tyres have worked out for us. Obviously, the setup has really been nice on the tyres these last few races. I think we've finally managed to get to grips with these Pirellis at the moment, and obviously it's opening up opportunities like today. But yeah, 2.5 laps to go here. It's all looking good at the moment. Coming on to the final lap then of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Seb looks to have given himself just enough of a buffer to Lewis Hamilton behind him. He looks set to take home another race victory here, and what a resurgence of form it's been from Sebastian Vettel. I've always said it this season, he's been quietly consistent, but if he comes back now to win this championship after really spending most of the season as A, second best Ferrari, and B, sort of sat around third or fourth throughout a big majority of this championship, what a story that would be here. Bottas, though, doesn't look like he's going to be able to get past that train over the AlphaTauri, the Red Bull, and the Racing Points here. But again, another fantastic result for ourselves if we just keep it on the island through these final few corners here. It's just been one of those races where everything's fallen into place for ourselves. Everything's fallen into place for the title championship story as well there. But out of Zhengzhou for Sebastian Vettel for the final time in this Grand Prix. He's going to make it 2 in a row and build up a lot of momentum heading into Abu Dhabi last time out. 2 races in a row now. He's mugged Hamilton off with just a couple of laps to go here. Hamilton comes through for P2, but we are going to come through for P3 in the Brazilian Grand Prix. Our 3rd podium of the season. That is what I'm talking about.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you've pulled through. Thank you.
Another superb Brazilian Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari do it again. Let's have a quick look at how the driver's standings have changed. Well, the gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race today for our championship leader. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
Let's move on to the constructors. The current championship leaders still hold top spot, but that gap is getting smaller. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So there we are then, the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it's Seb picking up his 2nd race win in a row. Like I said, in the dying stages of Grand Prix, Seb now has mugged off Hamilton and able to pick up 50 points on the board there, which is absolutely critical in his hopes to keep his title bid alive. You know, he's still after world title number 5. He's trying to prevent Hamilton from equaling Schumacher's record of 7 in a row. Oh, 7 altogether even, I should say, at the end of the day there. But we come through for P3 from 16th on the grid. It was, yeah, a rather quiet but rather successful race weekend for ourselves when all is said and done there. Stroll in 4th ahead of Perez and Albon there. They see Gasly in 7th, and then title leader Bottas down in P8. Not the race he needed. The 2-stop strategy really did not work out for him there, but good damage limitation nonetheless there. Sainz and Lando Norris round out the top 10 for McLaren there, with Ricciardo in 11th. Max Verstappen from the back of the grid in 12th there. Yeah, a few real standout performances, obviously. Ourselves, Sainz from 20th to 9th. Max Verstappen from 22nd to 12th. My teammate Jordan King, 21st to 13th. A lot of crazy results at the end of the day there. Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Kvyat, Grosjean, Russell, Magnussen and Latifi round out the finishes there, with Ocon and Charles Leclerc both not making it to the checkered flag, which means championship-wise, 4 points separate the top 3 as we head into the finale of the season. Charles Leclerc is technically still in it as well. If he gets fastest lap and race victory, he would win this on a countback here. So it is technically a 4-way scrap for the title fight here. I'll be honest, I don't fancy Charles Leclerc's chances, but crazier things have happened in Formula 1. But yeah, that top 3, Bottas 295 points, Hamilton 292 points. Sebastian Vettel, 291 points. We have officially got a four-way battle for the championship. That also obviously means the Constructors' battle is still wide open between Mercedes and Ferrari as well there. But Verstappen is still ahead of ourselves. We have now basically guaranteed ourselves P6 in the Drivers' Championship ahead of Albon there. Further down the order, though, Gasly gets the jump on Raikkonen, I think the only other mover over the course of the standings there. But yeah, that is absolutely insane at the front. And Constructors-wise, Mercedes 27 points clear of Ferrari with just one race to go here. That looks a bit more in Mercedes' favour, but who knows what can happen. It is completely wide open. If any of those top three win the Grand Prix, they are world champions. Simple as that. It is going to be an absolutely insane finale to the season. Still a lot going on in the Constructors' battle as well. Renault just 11 points ahead of ourselves. We're just 9 points ahead of Racing Point and 12 ahead of McLaren. There is a lot to play for when we return tomorrow for the finale of Season 1 of the F1 2020 Career Mode. You guys do not want to miss it. We'll be back ready for Abu Dhabi. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.